Welcome back to the third and final installment of Chasing Samples, Chasing History. I'm really excited about this one, and by the way, we are live and direct from Massachusetts. I am in Williamstown, and I am a Sterling Brown visiting professor at Williams College. Really excited about that, and to talk about the blues and wayward women with these students for the next year, as well as exploring Black British visual and audio and sort of musical culture in the 1980s. And so it's a real pleasure to be able to do this work from different places in the world. In fact, being in Williams is directly related to chasing the samples, right? It is because of DJ scholarship and those four cultural practices of digging through the crates, chasing samples, studying album cover art, reading liner notes critically, that landed me at Williams College with this amazing opportunity. But I'm very excited about today. I know that there's been a sort of uptick of interest by universities and organizations and institutions who, because of the role of DJs during the pandemic, have kind of peeked into and even invested in and directed resources towards DJ culture. And so I'm excited, though, to think about women and the ways in which women get erased from different narratives around sampling. And erased, and saying erased, I mean that when we think of sampling as DJs or as folks who are invested in the culture, a lot of times you get the usual suspect, suspects that come up as folks that are being sampled, and that includes, of course, James Brown and Issac Hayes and George Clinton and P-Funk, and they are absolutely superstars. Absolutely, those folks have been sampled probably thousands of times at this point. But I want to acknowledge the role that Black women play in sample culture. We assume that men are, doing the sampling, being sampled, and so we don't think about women producers and crate diggers, or even those who are being sampled. And so what I want to do with this video is something different too, is instead of simply, turning to the decks to play the music, I'd like you to see these women, and this is a way that we can kind of all participate in this erasure resistance, is what I call it, right? Not only will you hear them, you will see them, and their names are so rarely called that I wanted to commit this show and this segment to, I'm saying show as though it's a radio show because that's what I feel as well. This would be an ideal radio show for me, to be honest, but I want to commit to this kind of visual representation as well as the sonic. And so part of what I'll do is play the original or play the sample, depending on what makes sense for the context of what I'm discussing as it relates to women being sampled or women artists sampling women. And you will see and you will hear their faces because we don't call their names enough, and it's time. It's time. I guess one of the biggest examples would be Tawatha Agee, who was the primary vocalist for the song Juicy Fruit, which ends up being sampled by the bad boy producer camp for Biggie, right? Juicy. Look up Juicy Fruit by Entume to hear the original if you're not familiar with it. And it also makes me think of how often, say for example, Shaka Khan's Through the Fire has been sampled. So we're going to explore this sampling, even thinking of the way that Through the Fire was sampled by Kanye West in particular is interesting, and kind of a interesting pivot in sampling history, right? Is that Kanye's, develops a kind of subgenre of sampling, and he speeds up the vocals, right? And that becomes a part of his sonic signature or a part of his approach to sampling. And this segment will focus on some of the most sampled women musicians, and I will very specifically focus my attention on, as I said, women artists who are sampling. So that includes Rhapsody and Lauryn Hill, That includes, just a number of singers and musicians that really just need their props, and so I'm here for it. And so we will focus on Aretha Franklin and Lyn Collins and Myra Barnes from the James Brown Revue. Again, the women in that crew, as well as the women from the P-Funk, G-Funk crew, as well as the women from like the Zapp and Roger, also heavily sampled crew, just end up being accessories in the background. And so I want to do something that honors them and their legacies as well. That includes Betty Wright, that includes Marlena Shaw, and some of these women have been sampled thousands of times. And so we'll explore some of those women and name them, and we can do the work to listen and remember and resist their erasure by taking this time to stand with, listen to women being sampled, women musicians sampling musicians who are women, right? And so I'd love to start with my favorite combination of women, and that is Lauryn Hill and Nina Simone. Not only is Nina Simone heavily sampled, Lauryn Hill has taken a particular interest in her, and that shows up in her lyrics, but also in her remakes or her remixes or her covers, which could be placed in that sampling family, right? Because there's a sort of kind of manipulation of these sounds or the songs or the lyrics that Lauryn Hill is famous for that shows up in several songs. And so let's start.
Inequities in the nervous system. Listen, watch the words, how they twist them. 2/3 of the world turn victim. Subtle energy they capture and block cheat. The unseen violence behind the democracy. Some call it hypocrisy. Turn freemen into property. And logically justify not treating them properly. Invisible ink in the Constitution. Meant to preserve the institution. Unequal distribution.
I ain't got no home. Ain't got no shoes. Ain't got no money, ain't got no class, ain't got no skirts, ain't got no sweater, ain't got no perfume, ain't got no bed, ain't got no mind. Ain't got no mother, ain't got no culture, ain't got no friends, ain't got no schooling, ain't got no love, ain't got no name, ain't got no ticket, ain't got no token, ain't got no God.
So this is a super creative use of sampling. The way that the song is structured creates a situation where Nina Simone's sample ends up functioning like a song that Lauryn Hill is guest rapping on, right? And so you get a sense of how the two have been in conversation historically. But also the original, which plays after Lauryn Hill's rhyme from the song I Ain't Got No Life by Nina Simone, is equally potent, and it speaks to how DJ culture has inspired generations of people to be more creative with pre-recorded music. So I started with Lauryn Hill and Nina Simone because it's a beautiful way to engage these linked histories. And I, for example, thought about the next artist and how they are connected to Nina Simone. First, there's Rhapsody, who is a rapper from Nina Simone's home state of North Carolina, and Rhapsody samples Aretha Franklin's version of Nina Simone's Young, Gifted, and Black. And so that's a really interesting combination. And so this Aretha Franklin version of Nina Simone's 1972 Young, Gifted, and Black album shows up on Rhapsody's 2017 album called Layla's Wisdom. And in fact, the song that Rhapsody samples, Layla's Wisdom, which is the title track for the album, is the song that Rhapsody samples Aretha Franklin's version of Nina Simone's Young, Gifted, and Black. So these two rappers and then these two jazz and blues and soul women come together and are immortalized through sampling. Let's take a listen.
What she said about winter and what the cold do. Everything's a season, there's some things you gotta go through. Believe me, I done seen it all. You're young talking to old you. When haters come around, look them down, tell them we don't owe you. You gon' lose some friends, but those circles are better than the ovals. A black man left the oval, keep that style, you got soulful. The best of the best gon' fear you, sky's the limit. See, I told you, you gon' be the difference between McDonald's, Burger King, and Whole Foods. Do your thing and slip through on them. Yeah, they ain't gon' have no clue. You won't need no toll booths, they'll pay attention. Hope do, they'll ask you for advice, tell them the same thing I told you. Should be a crime to be this fly and awesome, and to think that love is all it costs. Feel like Jordan, it's the ball, the pistol toss. I'm the underdog and gold is what we floss. And when they told me my chances of losing was higher than divorce, you gotta know your worth and work, cause I can't fall.
Needless to say, that's super hot. The way that Rhapsody flips that and her producers flip that sample is nothing short of amazing. Up next, though, is I want to talk a little bit about the godfather of soul, James Brown, who is considered to be probably rap's most heavily sampled artist. But what gets lost in this narration is the role that funky black women who he worked with, like Vicki Anderson, Lyn Collins, and Myra Barnes, who you'll hear next. Myra Barnes had a song called Message to the Soul Sisters, and Lil' Kim, with the assistance of Puffy on her debut album, Lil' Kim, samples very well the song Message to the Soul Sister, which is interesting for Lil' Kim. Some folks would argue that maybe Lil' Kim is not a soul sister at all because of how she presents herself and that kind of respectability rhetoric. But this is a message to soul sisters, speaking to multiple generations and different kinds of folks who identify as black women. So enjoy Myra Barnes from the JB. So enjoy the original version of Message to the Soul Sister by Myra Barnes from the JB, as in James Brown family, and review of amazing artists, and also Lil' Kim's No Time from her 95 album, Lil' Kim.
Let's have a meet. Girls, let's have a meet. Yeah.
Miss Ivana, usually rock the Prada, sometimes Gabbana. Sticky for your cream and your riches. Jaja Gabor, Demi Moore, Prince Diane, and all them rich riches. Puff Daddy pumped the Hummer for the summer. I follow in the E-class with the goggles. 96 model, bad click on a stroll.
Tell them how we roll.
Cruise control, nothing make a woman feel better. The Berettas and Amarettas, but the letters and mad cheddars. Chilling in the Benz with my amigos, trying to stick a nigga for his peso.
The next song excites me because it is Betty Wright's Cleanup Woman, and it's a song that has been sampled over 3,000 times. And other songs by Betty Wright that's been sampled as well. But the person who sampled it is none other than Mary J. Blige, again on her debut album, What's the 411? And this is the Real Love remix, where Betty Wright's Cleanup Woman is sampled. Enjoy it.
A clean-up woman is a woman who gets all the love we girls leave behind. The reason I know so much about her is because she picked up a man of mine. We are lovers true and through, and though we made it through the storm, I really want you to realize, I really want to put you on. I've been searching for someone to satisfy my every need. Won't you be my inspiration, be the real love that I need? Real love, I'm searching for a real love, someone to set my heart.
Another artist that's been sampled by multiple generations of producers in the same way that her music has been played by multiple generations of DJs is Diana Ross. And Diana Ross's song Upside Down is being sampled by MC Lights for the song Cold Rock a Party. That is, interestingly enough, also produced by Sean Puffy Combs. And so in this round of chasing samples alone, we have Bad Boy, Bad Boy's name coming up a number of times. In fact, as a label that hired super talented producers, they often do get credited and lauded for their awesome selections of samples. So take a listen to what happened with Diana Ross's Upside Down when in the hands of MC Light and Sean Puffy Combs. Check it out.
I said upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love that I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating when no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down.
Yeah.
I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. So what's your status? I be the baddest. Be to hit the scene since the gangster lean. I'm all ears. So what you got to say? I hope you're bubbling it, baby. Now
now, bubbling in my way, let it rain. Ain't no sort up in the game, still want you to sing. Ain't a thing changed, instead of knocking boots, we be kicking down Gore-Tex. Except it ain't raw sex, roughnecks. Throw your hands in the air, let me hear you say, oh yeah. Trust you me, I blow up shop. About to blow the roof right off of hip-hop. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body.
And last but certainly not least is an interesting kind of twist on the notion of sampling. Oftentimes we think about hip-hop culture for kind of being the birthplace of sampling, which it totally is. But a number of subgenres utilize sampling as an artistic practice. And so this is one of my very favorite samples, and it was done within the genre of house music. The sample is actually Marlena Shaw, and it's a live version of her Woman of the Ghetto song. And the sample is reproduced and represented by a house music producer and group by the name of Saint Germain for the song Rose Rouge. Take a listen and think about the ways in which sampling travels and traverses borders and people and places and genres, right? That it is a boundless, radical form that brings us closer to each other as human beings, and in fact inspires, I hope, a line of questions that help us get to not just the social context, but as I said before, the linked histories. So when having discussions about sampling, don't forget to chase the women. Don't forget to chase queer folks. Don't forget to chase trans folks. So many people have been sampled, so many sounds, so many histories. It's our responsibility to include all of us in our digging through the crates so that we can see who has been sampled and represented over time. And so that we don't make the mistake of thinking that sampling is a gender-specific art form and practice, but that in fact, there's a wide range of people that have been sampled, that do the sampling, that present the sampling, and that talk about sampling as a legitimate discipline. So thank you so much for joining me. We have chased the samples through 1988. We chased the samples through Mos Def's Black on Both Sides album, and then we chased the samples of women in music history. So please do your own work, ask questions, create a whole new platform for yourselves to listen to music much more intimately, and enjoy the work, enjoy the findings, enjoy the sounds. My name is DJ Lynnée Denise, and thank you for joining me for Chasing Samples, Chasing History.
I want you to get together, put your hands together one time, and help me pray for one sinner from the ghetto. Oh Lord, we call him Harold Jones, and he plays drums. Would you do it for him one time? Yeah, 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 yeah. They appreciate you, Harold Jones, and playing bass, Lord. You know that he's a sinner. I saw his stash, oh Lord, 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 would you please put a blessing on Brother Ed, boy. We appreciate you too. Hit that note again, let me see if that's still right. And oh Lord, from the ghetto, from a $100,000 house tag ghetto. You to get together. I want you
you.